Dealings with the Dead, number 43. Josiah Carter died at the close of December 1774. Never was there a happier occasion for citing the quis, desiderio, and so on, and I would cite that fine ode, were it not worn threadbare like an old coverlet, by having been immemorially thrown over all manner of corpses, from the cobblers to the kings. If good old Dr. Charles Chauncey were within hearing, I would indeed apply to him a portion of its noble passages. Multis ille bonus debilis accidet nulle fabilior quam tibi. For good Josiah many wept, I fancy, but none more fluently than Dr. Chauncey. Josiah Carter was a sexton of the old brick. He died in the prime of life, 50 only, a martyr to his profession, conscientious to a fault, standing all alone in the cold vault, after the last mourner had retired, and knocking gently upon the coffin lid, seeking from some little sign of animation, and begging the corpse, for heaven's sake, if it were alive, to say so in good English. Carter was one of your real integer vitamen. It is said of him that he never actually lost his self-government, but once in his life he was finishing a grave in the granary yard, and had come out of the pit, and was looking at his work, when a young surgical sprig came up, and with something of a mysterious air shadowed forth a proposition, the substance of which was that Carter should sell him the corpse, cover it lightly, and aid in removing it by night. In an instant, Carter jerked the little chirurgeon into the grave. It was a deep one, and had begun to fill up with all his might. The screams of the little fellow drew quite a number to the spot, and he was speedily rescued. When interrogated years afterwards as to his real intentions at the time, Carter always became solemnized, and said he considered the preservation of that young doctor a particular providence. Carter had a strong aversion to unburying. So have I, especially a hatchet. I have a rooted hatred of slavery, and I hope our friends on the sunny side of Mason's and Dixon's line will not censure me for digging up the graves of the past and exposing unsightly relics, while I solicit the world's attention to the following literary Bijoux. To be sold, a young Negro fellow, fit for country or other business, will be sold to the highest bidder, a very good gold watch, a Negro boy, and so on, cheap for cash, a Negro man and woman, and 2 children, a very likely Negro wench, about 16 years of age, a likely Negro woman, about 30, cheap for cash, a likely Negro boy, about 13, sold only for want of employ, a healthy, practicable Negro girl, about 18 years of age, to be sold for want of employ, a strong, hearty Negro fellow, about 25 years of age, ran away, a Negro named Dick, a well-looking, well-shaped fellow, right Negro, little on the yellow, and so on. A likely Negro woman, about 33 years old, remarkable for honesty and good temper. Grant Webster has for sale new and second-hand chases, rum, wine, and male and female Negroes. At auction, a Negro woman that is used to most sorts of house business, a likely healthy Negro man, a good cook, and can drive a carriage. Ran away, a Negro man named Prince, a tall, straight fellow. He's about 33 years old, talks pretty good English. His design was to get off in some vessel that's to go to England, under the notion if he could get there, he should be free, and so on. $10 reward. Ran away, Negro Primus, 5 feet 10 inches high, long limbs, very long fingernails, and so on. To be sold for no fault, a Negro man of good temper. A valuable Negro man ran away, my Negro, Cromarte, commonly called Crumb, and so on and so on. Whoever will return said runaway to me, or secure him in some public jail, and so on, the cash will be given for a Negro boy of good temper. A fine Negro male child to be given away, to be sold, a Spanish Indian woman about 21 years old, also Negro child about 2 years old, to be sold, a strong, hardy Negro girl, and her son about a week old, ran away, my Negro man, Samson, when he speaks, has a leering look under his eyes. Whoever will return him or secure him in any of the jails shall receive $10 reward. For sale, a likely Negro man, and has smallpox. He has what does it say? He, but has had the smallpox. Okay, so he's immune. And a lot of these, they have the dash, so this isn't all one ad. It's a collection of quotes here. A likely Negro boy, large for his age, about 13, to be sold very reasonably. A likely Negro woman, about 33, or something, 4 years of age. Oh, 33 or 34. Okay, this is part of the thing. Part of the letters gone. Part of the numbers gone. To be sold or hired for a number of years. A strong, healthy, honest Negro girl, about 16 years of age. Ah, my dear, indignant reader, I marvel not that you are grieved and shocked that man should dare directly under the eye of God to offer his fellow for sale, as he would offer a side of mutton or a slaughtered hog, that he should offer to sell him from head to heel, liver and lights and lungs and heart and bone and muscle, and presume to convey over to the buyer the very will of the poor black man for years, and for so that the miserable creature should never draw in one single breath of freedom, but breathe the breath of a slave forever and ever. This is very damnable indeed. You read the advertisements, which I have paraded before you, with a sentiment of disgust towards the men of the South. Nimium, ne cred, colori. These are northern Negroes. These are northern advertisements. Mutato nomin de te fabula narratur. Now, fable, it had a point, but you knew it wasn't true. A myth could be true, could not be true, but it was always true in a sense. Every one of these slaves was owned in Boston. Every one of these advertisements was published in the Boston Gazette, and the two last on December 10th, 1781. They are taken from one only of the public journals, and are a very Flemish sample of the whole cloth, which may be examined by him who has leisure to turn over the several papers then published here. There is one, however, so awfully ridiculous when we consider the profession of the deceased owner and the place of sale, and which, in these connections, presents such an example of sacra commixta profanis, that I must give the advertisement without defalcation. sounds too much like something else. I wouldn't have. John Moorhead, the first minister of Bury, afterwards Bury Street Church, died December 2nd, 1773, about a year after his effects were sold, and the following advertisement appears in the Boston Gazette, January 2nd, 1775, to be sold by public auction on Thursday next at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. All the household furniture belonging to the estate of the Reverend Mr. John Moorhead, deceased, consisting of tables, chairs, looking-glasses, feather beds, bedsteads, and bedding, pewter, brass, sundry pieces of plate, and so on, a valuable collection of books, also a likely Negro lad. The sale is to be at the house in Ochmutte's Lane, South End, not far from Liberty Tree. Moses and the Prophets, a human being to be sold as a slave not far from Liberty Tree in 1775. Let me be clearly comprehended. Two wrongs cannot, like two negatives, neutralize each other. It is true, there was slavery in Massachusetts, and probably more of it than is supposed to have existed by many of the present generation. Free Negroes were not numerous in Boston in those years. In the Boston Gazette of January 2nd, 1775, it is stated that 547 whites and 52 blacks were buried in the town in 1774, and 533 whites and 62 blacks in 1773. Such was the proportion then. The energy of our Northern Constitution has exorcised the evil spirit of slavery. Common sense and the grace of God put it into the minds and hearts of our fathers when the accursed Bohun Upas was a sapling, to pull it up by the roots. It follows not, therefore, that the people of the South are entitled to be treated by us, their brethren, like outside barbarians, because they do not cast it out from their midst as promptly and as easily now that it has stricken down its roots into the bowels of the earth and become a colossus and overshadowed the land. Slavery being the abomination that it is, in the abstract and in the relative, we may well regret that it ever defiled our peninsula, especially that a slave market for the sale of one slave only ever existed, not far from Liberty Tree. In sober truth, we are not quite justified for railing at the South as we have done. The sins of our dear old fathers are still so comparatively recent in regard to slavery that I am absolutely afraid to fire canister and grape among the group of offenders, lest I should disturb the ashes of my ancestors. Again, you don't have to justify your ancestors. Neither may we forget that we of the North consented, aided, and abetted constitutionally in the confirmation of slavery. Some of the most furious of the abolitionists in this fair city are descendants in the right line from Boston slaveholders. Their fathers did not recognize the sinfulness of holding slaves. The people of the South are entitled to civility from the people of the North because they are citizens of one common country. And if there is one village, town, or city of these United States that more than any and all others is under solemn obligations to cherish a sentiment of grateful and affectionate respect for the South, it is the